So we are
Okay.
going to get started. Alrighty. So today, welcome to Coco Cigar Cutie Conversations with Coco. And I am on my birthday weekend, so I'm spending it outside. I'm actually camping. But having a ball no less. Today I'm smoking a Lilith by Sagrado Cigars. It's such a great cigar. So are you having a cigar? And
Yes, yes, I am.
I'm
So
joined by Mrs.
I'm actually smoking a Y Panda, and
Oh,
this is something that it just has been released at PTA, and it's the Domino one. So I'm excited to see how this tastes. And Y Panda is with Luciano. So I'm not sure if you're not familiar with Y Panda. Luciano is his mentor. So
okay. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Great. I'm sorry. I had to bend down, drop my lighter. So today I'm being joined by Mrs. Fine Ash Red. I'm guessing red is because of the hair color.
Yes, I was in education, and my students called me Miss Red. They didn't
Uh-huh.
call me by my real last name, and then it just kind of stuck. And then everybody at the school started calling me Red, and then it's just at cigar lounges it became Red. So I love it. So I'm sticking with it.
Oh, okay. And I am a fellow in education as well. I retired now though.
Awesome.
So I
Oh,
was in middle
oh,
school. So
oh, very cool. That's where I currently am. I'm an educational diagnostician for middle school.
okay. Okay. So what does that mean? Because I'm not familiar with that term.
So what it is I evaluate students who have like specific learning disabilities in
Mhm.
math, reading, and then also evaluate students for emotional disturbance
Okay.
and then autism. And then I give suggestions to help create an IEP, and I attend their art. So I advocate for the student. And
Okay.
I help teachers understand what their disabilities, and I also help parents understand what their disabilities, because sometimes they don't understand it, or they think the kid's just being lazy. That's a mis like ADHD. A lot of people, oh,
Right.
they're just lazy. They're just lazy. No, it's a real struggle.
Right.
So
Right.
that is what I get to do. So it's a really neat, rewarding, fun job.
And in your
So
spare time, you are also the co-founder of
yes.
a cigar, coffee, bourbon, foodish pairing YouTuber. I was
Yeah.
trying to get them all in there.
It's a mouthful. It's like, and then to add on top of that, we also have a magazine that comes out quarterly.
Really?
So yes,
Okay.
so yeah, so you can get it through our website. You'll see Leaf and Gray magazine, and we've already had two releases. It's unconventional. It's not like your typical magazine. So we feature with wine, we feature recipes, we feature cigars, we feature different drinks, and then we also spotlight boutique cigars.
Okay.
Then as regular, we also rate them and write about the rating. We write about pairings because it's essential for you to understand.
Right.
Like a lot of people think that they have a horrible cigar and it's like horrific, and it's just based on what they paired it with. It could have been
Right.
a whiskey that isn't really meant to be, or a wine or a beer. So that's what we help to do, and we kind of take pairing to the next level, because a lot of times people don't understand what they like. They just know they like a cigar and they don't know why. So
Right.
that's kind of like what we do.
So how did you get into that? Like what made you get into, pairing a cigar? Was that because you had experience in it or you were like, man, this is really good and other people may want to, know this information?
So what it was I was enjoying smoking cigars. I'd been smoking cigars for, I think, about at this time for 19, 20 years, somewhere around there. So and I noticed whenever I would drink certain coffees, or I would drink certain stouts, or I'd have certain whiskeys or wines, that it added and
Mm-hmm.
enhanced the cigar, because I was very familiar with the cigars that I smoked. I knew like the notes, I knew the wrappers, I knew all that stuff. But then whenever I noticed that I was putting it with some things, it either took it away from the cigar,
Mm-hmm.
or it added it, or it was a contrast. So at the lounge that is my home lounge, which is the Underground Lounge in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And so if you ever get to go to Fort Worth, it is the most amazing cigar lounge.
Mm-hmm.
And they specialize in boutique cigars. And so the knowledge of their tobacconist there is just phenomenal. Like, and one of them's a chef. So I'm
Okay.
like, hey, I noticed that I'm getting this note. And then when I pair it with this, it goes like this. So a lot of the members that were there, we were kind of noticing the same things. And then we're like, hey, let's kind of like see how people will respond with pairing,
Wow.
putting suggestions. Yeah.
So do you all have events at the lounge, or is it
Mm-hmm.
like how many, is it like a group of you and you just get together once a month, once a week, every other week or whatever? Like, how does that happen?
How does it happen? So we host a bottle night on Friday nights, and what it is everybody brings a bottle, and we ask that if you're going to bring a bottle that you share the bottle, because there's sometimes that you might have a whiskey or
Mhm.
a beer or a wine that no one's ever heard of, or they've
Mhm.
wanted to try it, but it might be too expensive for them,
Okay.
or they were kind of scared to try it, because like when you're going to a liquor store, most of the times they don't have tastings there.
Right.
They don't provide that tasting, so it gives them an opportunity to taste something that they may not have had. And
Mhm.
what we do is we pair that drink with a cigar that we think would, we ask what you're looking for, and then we pair it with a cigar and make that suggestion. So we do that on Friday nights. And then also we'll go to events, and, we're consulted to come out and do events and host events and make suggestions. Like cigar lounges will contact us and say, hey, we're having this lounge. What would you suggest that we buy? What alcohol or what coffee would you suggest?
Mhm.
Or we want to serve food, what would you suggest for that? So we do have a certified chef that works with us. Then we have a bourbon steward, and then we have a wine sommelier level 3 on our team. And then I'm with the certified retail tobacconist. I've done the courses. I've just got to take my test for the official
Mhm.
thing. And then I also cook. I love to cook. I smoke my own food, and I like to partake in adult beverages. And then coffee is my specialty, like coffee, beer, food, and cigars. That's where I
That
like to explore. Yeah.
that is so amazing because when you think of women and smoking cigars, most of the time it's just the coffee component.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to find, but you have an entire group that has a specialty. Now, everyone in the
Mm-hmm.
group smokes cigars, I'm assuming. So
Yes, we all
when
smoke.
you when you all decide to do, on a Friday night, is it the person who's hosting to come up with a cigar, or do you randomly choose a cigar and say, okay, we're going to try this cigar and let's come up with a meal? Like, do you look at the flavor notes of the cigar first to come up with the pairings, or is it just
Well,
random?
so what they do is it's whatever they bring to drink. So let's say you bring a red wine,
Okay.
a red blended wine, and you bring it up to me, and so I'm gonna say, okay, and I'm gonna ask you, what do you normally smoke? Like, what are you used to? Because I don't want to get you something that's gonna take you way off. Like you're not comfortable, unless I'm saying, hey, would you like to have something that's out of your norm? Would you
Okay.
like to explore something out of your norm?
Okay.
So then, I'm going to say, like, with me for my red blended wine, I really love like a porcelain with mine. And, and it's the thing is like when you're into cigars, it's really important and to kind of know what the wrapper is, the binder, and the fillers. Because if you know, like, especially what region those are from, you
Mm-hmm.
know what kind of notes you're going to get and what you're
Okay.
going to pair with it. Also, like an Ecuadorian would work really well with a red wine,
Okay.
especially if you have like a fruity wine or a port that works really well with a port. So it's just kind of we see what you're drinking, and then we will pick out the cigar to go with it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Mhm.
how did you become so interested in the pairings? Like, was it because I know you initially said it was because you were drinking, I mean, you were smoking something and it was like,
Mhm.
oh, that's good, or no, not so
Mhm.
good. So what made
Mhm.
you want to, go further into that?
It was. I noticed like a lot of people don't do it. I'm
Hmm.
always the unconventional person. I want to do things that are outside the norm. I pride myself that I'm not the typical female.
Hmm.
Uh, and my kids, when my kids were little, they were kind of like, kids would say, your mom's not like most moms. And my kids were proud of the fact that I
Right.
wasn't like most moms, because most moms were kind of boring. They were needle pointing and all that other stuff. So I've always kind of like pushed the envelope, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the youngest of five. My dad, who is my hero, I love my daddy. I'm a daddy's girl. He always said, stand out, don't be like everyone else, go against the grain, do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of everybody started knowing, okay, like, okay, that's Ash Red. She comes to lounges. People started kind of recognizing, oh, she smokes cigars. But then it's kind of like when I started eating while I was smoking my cigars and I started drinking, I'm like, hey, have y'all done that? And people are like, no, we just smoke cigars. We don't put food with it. Or we don't, I just always drink this one specific bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, you're missing out. You really
Right.
need to, and what we say, explore the pairing, take it to the next level. Because when you do that, you get so much more out of your drink. You
Mm-hmm.
get so much more out of your cigar. And what I call it, what I say, it's an O in the mouth, like an orgasm in the mouth, let's so to
Right.
speak. And it takes it to the next level. And it just, who wouldn't want something at the most, like the best that it could be, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So that's why, we kind of do what we do. And it's unconventional,
Right.
So,
It,
and it's neat and people have fun.
yeah. And that's the thing. I think people get into the frame of mind of I'm smoking a cigar and I only want the cigar. I don't want anything else to mess up my vibe with
Mm-hmm.
my cigar. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of times you do miss out on some of the things. So did you
Mm-hmm.
ever pair a cigar that you thought was going to be really good with, with a food or a wine or a coffee, and it just really didn't work out?
Oh, several times. It's like it's been hit and miss. That's part of this is like, oh, I think this is going to be really good. Like I mean, there's been twice on our show that we've done it. Like we've paired. I was really excited about teas. So I enjoy. I grew up drinking tea because my mom, her goal was to drink tea with the Queen of England.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom would establish that we had tea time at our house. And so I grew up drinking teas, but I wasn't really that knowledgeable about teas.
Okay.
And so we decided to have a tea and a cigar. We're like, hey, I mean, it's like coffee. It's going to be great. You might as well
Right.
do it. Well, I chose like one of my favorite tea is this Bengal spiced tea,
Mm-hmm.
very spicy. And I chose like a mellower cigar to go with it because I knew how spicy the cigar was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrific. Like I had to stop drinking the tea and I went over to whiskey in the middle of the show. And
No.
that just, yeah, it just goes to show you that, and I walked them through. I said, I think I maybe have set my tea too long. I let it steep too long. I could have done this. And, so I think this is where I think I made the mistakes. And this is why it could have been this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also done it with soda. I've done it with, I thought sake was going to be really good
Mm-hmm.
with my cigar, and it was just okay. There's been some moments like, would I do it again? Probably not. Soda was the worst. Crafted sodas, I thought it's just too much natural raw sugar,
Okay.
and it just makes it taste like a skunk's in your mouth while you're smoking a cigar. And I had a flight of sodas because I was worried about that natural sugar that was in sodas
Right.
because we're trying to offer some people who don't drink
Mm-hmm.
something that they could explore.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't work out all the time.
So, okay, so when it doesn't work out, do you do and you're in the middle of it, do you say why it's not working out? And,
Yes.
and then do
Yeah.
you try to go back and like you said with the sake, is it all sake? Was it that specific sake? Like,
Yeah.
do you try to
And,
go back?
yeah, and we asked that during the thing. We're like, okay, is it this sake? And like my partner, we usually do different sakes, different cigars. So it's like it's not the same. So
Okay.
that way we can determine, okay, is it this kind of sake or is this kind of wine or whatever. But we do go back because we want to find something we're determined to find something to make it work, you
Okay.
know. So we went back and we hit the teas again. I did the January challenge of no drinking in January,
Mm-hmm.
just I was like, okay, I'm going to do that because there's a lot of people doing that. I want to support that. And so I was participating in that. And so we had teas. We tried different teas and it was amazing. I kind of like researched more teas. I did a loose leaf tea.
Okay.
So it was more educating myself about the tea than what I
Hmm.
had done previously. Asked tea masters like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what, and then explored more loose leaf teas, went to actual natural tea shops that were around
Okay.
and got my tea. So we do go back to it if it doesn't hit the palate right, so to
Hmm.
speak.
It's so fascinating to me because I
Mm-hmm.
call myself trying to, expand my horizon. So I've been
Mm-hmm.
watching your YouTube channel and I've been following you trying to see
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try that. And then
Uh-huh.
I always think, okay, well, I will try it with the cigars that I see you have. And then
Mm-hmm.
because I do have some cigars, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna try it with this. And then it's almost not get overwhelmed, but also like I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know what the hell I'm doing. It's like, okay, clearly I'm not doing this right. Like, so is there a process? Like, are you
Mm-hmm.
supposed to start your cigar, wait a couple of minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and drink your tea or eat your food and then come back to the cigar, or are you supposed to eat
Mm-hmm.
all of the food? Like, because me, I will forget half the time, and either I'm smoking all of the cigar and then forgot that I was supposed to be doing it, or eating all
Yeah.
the food and then forgot about the cigar. So is there a
There,
process?
there is a process. So that's a great question because most people they just want to light up. So if you ever notice when you first start your cigar, the first like little half inch, the first couple centimeters, it's kind of intense, bold. It takes you a while to get acclimated to the flavors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
usually we say start your cigar usually after the first inch or half inch, of you smoking the cigar, puff the cigar, then try the food or
Okay.
try your drink to see what it is. But like, and here's really what's the best way to do it. So you puff the cigar, get it through the half inch, clear your palate with water, drink water, always have water standing by because if it's not going to work, you need to figure out why, right? Or if it's
Okay.
something that's not good,
Right.
So, and plus, you want a clean palate to cleanse it. So, you drink several sips of water, have the water, then you drink your beverage or you eat your food. So, you know what you're going to get, what kind of
Okay.
flavors you're going to get, and everything. So, then you cleanse your palate again. Then you go to your cigar. Then you go to your drink or your food or whatever. So after you've kind of like explored it and said, okay, I taste this is what's different, then you clear your palate. Then you start with your food or your drink or whatever. And then you clear your palate. Then you go back to the cigar. Then you clear that. Then you go to the food and then puff on the cigar to see how it changes because it's going to be different when you're going to the reverse.
Ah, okay. You know what? I'm gonna have to now. Let me ask you. So, when you do these things on Friday night, are they only for the lounge, or do you go
Mm-hmm.
live when you're doing them? Is it a Zoom that people can
Um,
link up on? Like,
they they just go to the lounge. Like it's like a lot of people will go to the lounge or wherever we are. We also get like lots of like, hey, I'm gonna have this like messages, DM messages, like on my Instagram or my Facebook, and they're like, hey, I want to have this drink. What cigar would you recommend? So like we'll answer like messages, DM messages. And then we've gone to different lounges to do, events and things like that. So it's just kind of, it's particularly, or we'll just show up. There's times that I'll be at a lounge and people recognize me and they're like, hey, I'm smoking this. What would you recommend? Here's all my choices of bourbon. What
mhm.
would you recommend for the cigar? So that's kind of like how it's done. We recommend it. We have pairings in our magazines. We also have a website like leafandgrainsociety.com. And it's not like the word and, it's the letter N. And
Okay.
you can find pairings like that we've done. So we'll say, hey, we had this pairing. And if it didn't work out, we're going to say that it didn't work out in the pairing, you know, in the article. So
Mhm.
you can also go there and read, like, oh, I had this wine, or hey, I'm looking for a pairing in wine or, you know, tea. And this is what was recommended.
So and you said that you do some boutique brands too. So what do you look for in a boutique brand versus a well-known brand for you to want to try a pairing?
Well, I mean, and it doesn't matter if it's boutique, well known or whatever. I want to know what the wrapper is, the binder, and the fillers. And
Okay.
if like I can, especially if they tell me what region it is. If they say, okay, it's from Esteli, the wrapper is Esteli. So I know I'm going to get a lot of pepper. I'm going to get a lot of strong on that. Now, if it's from the valley in Nicaragua, I know I'm going to get a lot of floral and sweet on that area.
Okay.
So, and then if they're like, oh, it's Honduras and Dominican, I know I'm going to get more of a hey. So if it's, you know, Dominican, it might be a little bit sweeter than Honduras hay. So that's like, you know, why people tell the wrapper is it lets you know what flavor you're going to experience of that cigar.
Okay. So now we know what happens when you don't have one that is as good, but have you had one that was so phenomenal that you go back to that all the time?
Yeah. One of my favorites is like, you know, I'm all about supporting local, you know, the small, I'm all about the little guys. I like to see them succeed, mom and pop, you know, all of that. So we have a winery in Grapevine and it's called Messina Haas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Texas wine out in Lubbock. And they have this wine that's one of my favorite wines, and it's crazy. It's a $5 wine. It's a cheap wine, and if I gave it to you and had you taste it, you would not know it was a $5 wine. You were sitting here thinking it was like a 30, 40, 50, you know, a higher end wine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Beau. It's called Beau, and it is more of like a dessert wine, and I love pairing that with a porcelain Black Label Trading Company. They have a porcelain cigar.
Mm-hmm.
It is one that I really enjoy going to. Pairing that, I have like one of my favorite meal time thing is like for breakfast. I love cinnamon rolls. You know, I mean, who doesn't like sweets? So I'll get like a white chocolate cinnamon roll and a chocolate cinnamon roll. And then I'll get Osak, which is Edgar Hoyle, one shot, one kill.
Okay.
And he's phenomenal with San Andreas. Like San Andreas is one of my favorite tobaccos.
Okay.
So I'll have a San Andreas with that. And then I'll usually do a coffee, like a vanilla coffee or a white chocolate coffee, or, you know, something on the lighter, like a blonde coffee. I'm going to have a lighter coffee with that. And that is one that I just really enjoy pairing with. So, I mean, so I do have my go-tos that I go back and forth on that. I love to have like charcuterie boards with my
Okay.
things. Um, so I'll have like meats and let me tell you, one of the best experiences I have had is like game meat, like elk. Elk is one of the best meats that you can smoke with a cigar.
Really?
Yeah, yes. There's something about that elk meat that is just like enhances it and just takes it to the next level. So like, and you can do that with a Connecticut, you can do that with an Ecuadorian, you can do that with a San Andreas. I mean, it's just insane how that elk meat can go with a Dominican and a Honduras. I mean, it's just crazy to think about what it's like.
You're gonna make me go to Whole Foods and try to find some elk meat.
Yeah, you seriously need to try that. I was really shocked because I wasn't expecting it to be like, and I had a whole array of different meats, you know,
Mhm.
on it, game meats, just to kind of see what was the best. And elk meat is by far my favorite. You know, people
Really?
talk about people talk about steak. Steak is
Mm-hmm.
great, but elk meat was phenomenal. And I've even had like buffalo with it, cigars, but elk meat is really good. And, you know, steak, I'm a steak and potato. I'm from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm going to have my steak and my potatoes
Right, right.
and Mexican food. Like one of my favorite ones was you get vodka, Tito's vodka.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get fajita. You have fajitas, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have Rojas's street taco or unfinished business. Unfinished business is really
Oh,
good with vodka and fajitas. There you
wow.
go. And then you have flan for dessert.
I am so going to do this with my friends
Mm-hmm.
because when we camp, we like to try a lot of different things,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the people that I camp with, they are actually cigar smokers as well. So we
Mm-hmm.
always try to think
Yeah.
of, oh, what can we smoke tonight, or what? And Walter,
Mm-hmm.
um, he likes to smoke meat, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is going to be perfect for him. I mean, it's just not.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait until I meet up with them during the summer and
Yes.
these. Now, have you when you smoke outside, right? Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything like barbecue? Like that
Oh
is your
yeah.
most favorite go-to, like during the summer. I love the wineries. I love a good
Yeah.
charcuterie board, a nice
Mm-hmm.
cigar. But then it's like, okay, I'm outside. I want to do some barbecue. What would be your go-to barbecue and cigar
Mm-hmm.
and drink?
Okay, I have a couple
Okay.
for that. So and here's the thing. It also depends when you're smoking meat, it depends on what kind of wood you're having.
Okay.
So like that's another thing. Like I use hickory, apple, and cherry. Those are my
Okay.
go-to woods whenever I smoke like I do brisket. I'll smoke a brisket. So we know that
Okay.
brisket takes about 24 hours to, almost 24 hours to smoke.
Right.
12, 14, it just depends on the weather conditions and everything. Like the longest I've ever smoked in a brisket is 24 hours. It was for my daughter's graduation party. And the reason it took 24 hours is because it was torrential rains. It was coming down and I was fighting the smoker with the rain.
Right.
But like I usually, do that hickory. I don't do mesquite wood. Mesquite wood puts a lot of intense flavor in your meats. So I'm not big on that. I like the hickory, the apple, and the smoked wood because it adds
Okay.
some sweetness and tart to it. And then you have the hickory, which is like that smoked flavor. So I'll do burnt ends. I love making me some burnt ends because you have the caramel. I mean, you have like the brown sugar, you
Mm-hmm.
have some whiskey to make it. So you have your whiskey, and then you have, I make a homemade barbecue sauce that I put in it. And so that's what my burnt ends are. So I've got that tangy from the barbecue, I've got that sweetness from the brown sugar, and then I have that smoked flavor. My favorite stick to pair with that is a red meat lovers. It's just made. It's not, the thing about red meat lovers is it's not too over the top where it's going to take away from the smoked flavors and all the different recipes in
Mm-hmm.
there, the salt, the pepper, and all that stuff. And then for my drink, I'm a beer girl. I really love my stouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just go with like a Lakewood Temptress. It's a local brewery that we have here. And that's just kind of like the Lakewood Temptress. It's got some whiskey, it's been aged in a whiskey barrel, but it's also got that, that Guinness taste to it, that
Okay.
Irish beer. So that's kind of like my go-to for like my summer barbecues. Now, if I want to do a chicken, I do a lot of beer can chicken. And that's kind of like one of my favorite things to do. So I'll do like a Mexican style beer can chicken. So I do the Mexican seasonings. I do elote, which I roast the corn and then add that stuff to it. So then on that one, I will do like a IPA, like a Mexican IPA with that. And then I'll smoke something from Honduras with that, like an Honduras based cigar. Like one of like my favorite ones to do is if I just do a typical beer can chicken, with just a regular IPA beer, then I will have a 1985 now I can't think, voodoo, a 1985 voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will smoke Sebastian has this candela, and the only place you can get this candela is in Austin
Oh,
at Smoker
wow.
Abbey's. So like during the summertime, I hit them up. I will get like a lot of these candelas because they are the best candelas that have ever been created. The next one that I have found to it is like a phenomenal candela is Apostate Cigars. They have the Serpents, the
Yes.
cigar, and that's a phenomenal candela. Like
Mm-hmm.
Apostate Cigars are just delicious. So I'll have that, and I'll do it with the 1985 Voodoo beer, and then I'll do it with the smoked chicken. Now the thing is like it has to be a smoked chicken. It can't be a rotisserie chicken
Okay.
or like a fried chicken,
Mm-hmm.
because that fried chicken with meat is so fatty, it turns the cigars to tar no matter what
Mm.
you're smoking.
Okay.
So that it has to be like a smoked chicken if you're doing that,
Okay.
with that. So and then and I have my IPA 1995 Voodoo Ranger. That's my happy place.
Wow. You know what? And I have an IPA right now. I have a
Mm-hmm.
dogfish, I think.
Yeah.
I have. And so I'm saving it because Walter said he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to try something with it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to hold on to it. I don't know if it's gonna
Yeah.
last though. But oh my God, this has been such a great conversation. I have got to have you back when you're in the middle of one of your pairings so you
Mm-hmm.
can teach me about what I'm doing wrong and I can watch and see, because when you're in education, I'm more of a visual learner. So
Yes.
I would I would love to be a fly on the wall
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
cigar lounge when you all are doing this, because this is
Yes.
just such an interesting conversation. And I'm all about learning and trying new
Mm-hmm.
things. And I do want to have you back during the summer.
Okay.
I have my camping friends with me, and we're sitting around the fireplace, a fire campfire,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
we're smoking, and Walter is smoking a brisket or something because he always does that. So now I have a
Mm-hmm.
suggestion for him. Um,
Yes. Yes. Now. Yeah.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, this has been such an amazing conversation. I thank you for joining me on a Sunday morning because you could still be sleepy.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me. Thank you, and happy birthday.
Well,
I hope I know you've had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you continue to have a
Oh
wonderful
yeah, yeah,
birthday.
right. Right after this, then the shenanigans will begin up again. So I thank you, and
Yes,
so
yes,
tell
and that's
everyone
the best
where
part,
they
right?
can right. So tell everyone where they can find you on all across social media.
Okay, so Facebook, it's Ash Red, ASH, and then Red, RED. And then for Instagram, it's fine with the little underline underscore,
Underscore.
Ash with the underscore, Red 77. So fine Ash Red 77. And then for Leaf and Grain, you have Leaf and the letter N, not and, Leaf
Okay.
in Grain Society. And if you go to our website, you can find that on Instagram. You can find that on YouTube as well. So, and that's that will, you can find our news articles. We have articles there. You can find, and then on YouTube, Leaf and Grain Society. We have the YouTube. I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't post as much on my YouTube. It's also Fine Ash Red. Um, so 77. So, but on the Leaf and Grain Society, you'll find our pairing. And then on the website, you'll find articles about pairing. You'll find our pairing wheel. We have a pairing wheel that's different from everybody else. It's
Mm-hmm.
got coffees, beers, wines, bourbons, and food
Mm-hmm.
that pair with that, and cigars. So a lot of time you only just find the cigar, you'll only find a
Right.
beer, you'll find and coffee. So this is like it takes all those pairing wheels and puts it together in one. You'll also find our pairing journal that shows you how to pair things
Mm-hmm.
and instructions on how to do pairings. And then you'll find our magazine that's on there. So we've had two release, and we talk about pairings, we talk about different wines, we talk about things that are coming up. We rate the cigars. And we do ratings a little bit different. We go out, get our own cigars. We'll smoke three of them and we'll do the rating. And it's honest. We're not paid by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
We've had friends, I have a lot of friends in this industry, and it's real honest. And sometimes it's kind of like a sticky situation. They're like, hey, you rated it an 83 or an 85.
Right.
And I mean, but we're honest and real. We're not going to sit there and we're going to tell you why it
Right.
had that score. We're going
Right.
to say, okay, the ash didn't last that long, or, I had to purge it, or this. And we try three cigars. We just don't do it with one cigar. It's three different cigars. And we make notes each time we do the pairings.
I
So, and review the cigars. So
gotta love
it's
those honest
very,
reviews.
yeah. So it's honest, and we're not getting paid for the advertisement or anything. And we won't, if someone on, or we're featuring, we're not going to rate that cigar during that magazine
Mm-hmm.
publication. So people don't think that, oh, they rated it that high because
Right.
they were advertise.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate it, and I'm gonna go look for this magazine because I need this magazine in my life. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
need to get a subscription or however I need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be looking all over the social media probably tomorrow because I don't know if I'll be,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, today. Yeah, I understand. So enjoy you and enjoy your special day.
Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful Sunday.
You too.
And, and
Bye.
and thank you so much for joining me. And I hope everyone goes and finds her on her social media and make sure that you follow her, give her a follow,
Thank you.
and make sure that you're doing trying something different. You know, try something different, and you'll never know what you're gonna get. Right?
Yeah, explore the pairings. That's what we say.
Explore the pairings.
Yes.
Have a great
Thank
Sunday.
you so much.
Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.